Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with What You Up To Now, day 1262. So I've been documenting my journey, sharing my experiences as I have transitioned from the brick and mortar world to the online world, from corporate America to the online world, from corporate America and the brick and mortar world of real businesses to the online world over the past couple of years. And what's worked, what hasn't, the good, bad, the ugly. I have personally settled in on, but I haven't really settled in on it, been doing challenges for my entire life and found that as challenges have become more popular, it's really a fun and easy and exciting way for me to present information material. Done webinars, done courses, done coaching, done all kinds of things, but challenges are fun for me. They're fun and they're easy. So on that note, we will be having the next 30-day free Get Up and Go challenge on August 1st. We'll start August 1st. Really miss it. The last one we did this year was in April. That was our 7th 30-plus day challenge since 2020 hit. It's just kind of my way to keep moving, keep myself motivated, keep going, and provide value, add some information, share some of the stuff I've learned over the last 50 years, and hopefully inspire other people to keep moving and keep going and getting up and moving, even when it's easier to just stay frozen, even when it's easier to just sit in front of Netflix or Hulu or Disney Channel or whatever you might have to watch, or the news. God forbid the news. Heaven forbid the news. Please, please, please don't watch the news. That's my opinion. I gave it up in the 80s as part of a training, part of a personal development training in corporate America. One of the best, I think, that I've ever attended in corporate America. I mean, I had some incredible training in my corporate career, but that was one of the best programs I ever went to. It was called Louis Tice Training. And it was what got me probably started on beliefs and goals and objectives. And I had goals and objectives. My dad taught my sisters and I about that because he worked at 3M and had really good trainings throughout that career as well. But that was the first training where I really got a bite of and a chance to try out different things that have positively impacted my entire life. One being not watching the news. During that training, we were challenged to turn off the news, turn off the media. All we had back then was like 4 or 5 channels, but we were encouraged to turn those off. And by doing that and getting in the habit of not watching television, not watching the news, not looking for outside sources to validate and tell me what was going on in the world, it caused me to think for myself. And I think that thinking for ourselves is one of the most powerful things that we can do. And it's one of the most responsible things that we can do. So today, our Supersize Your Business was a change. This is kind of confusing. It's not really confusing. It's mostly about the changing of the guard ceremony that goes on at Buckingham Palace when the guards switch shifts. But how does this impact our businesses and our life? Well, change happens to all of us all of the time. And changing of the guard or the leadership or the responsibility in any size organization causes a ripple effect. I found that the higher up the change occurs in the organization, the bigger and more profound the ripple. If you change the CEO or maybe not the board of directors, but if you change the CEO or the CFO or the C-suite level person, it has a much bigger impact throughout the entire organization than if you just change one first level or second level manager, or if you change the people that are actually doing the work in the organization. That has less of a ripple effect because things tend to run downhill, right? Gravity pulls things down. So a change at the top becomes a change that goes through the entire organization. It's why we encourage people to, if you want to change something in an organization, you have to get the upper management leadership group buy-in or the owner buy-in in order to actually see that change go through the entire organization. Otherwise, the changes we tried to make in corporate America at a team level or even a first or second or third level layer of management, really, we would try to do them, but then somebody up above us in the organization would say, yeah, I don't like that idea. It might lead to other people wanting to do that too. Or it might lead to whatever. Even if it was a good change, a lot of times it would get squashed by upper management or by leadership, higher level leadership, because they didn't understand, and mostly because they didn't come up with it, so they couldn't take credit for the idea. Sad, but that's how a lot of society and the world and corporations and politics see things. If I don't get credit for it, then nobody does. If it wasn't my idea, then it's not a good idea. very small-minded, ridiculous thinking, but a lot of it goes on in the world. I'm sure we've all experienced it. So changing of the guard, changing of leadership, changing of anything, which is something that we talk about for 30 days at a time and kind of nonstop. Me, within the Get Up and Go Challenge. The Get Up and Go Challenge is all about installing a change framework into your subconscious so that you automatically deal with changes and challenges better than if you didn't have the change framework, or if you didn't have the SOAP framework, we call it, at all. So we scrub all the changes, we run them through our SOAP framework, and they automatically cause us to take the actions and have the reactions that are best for us. Maybe not be best for other people, might not be best for your mom or your sister or your friend, but it's the best thing for you. And guess what? The best you can do is the best for you, because you doing your best impacts and encourages other people to do their best. It's kind of a weird way of looking at it, but it's so true. If we don't take care of ourselves first, we don't have the energy or the resources to take care of anyone else. That's not being selfish. That is being human and smart and wise. Our idiom, our 365-day challenge this year, our annual challenge, is all about centering ourselves, getting to know ourselves better, understanding ourselves better, figuring out what makes us tick. And we call it the All About You 365-Day Challenge. And it's from the Little Journal book, to do one thing every day that centers you, or centers me, or centers us. And it, like I said, it's about getting to know ourselves better, understanding what's important to us from the inside out, getting to know what the heck is inside of us. And it's just a little daily question, task, quote, activity that helps us to get to know ourselves better. It asks the questions sometimes that we might not ask ourselves, or that we might not even realize. It shares quotes and ideas and a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. Part of why I do the idiom is I think it's very powerful to look at things a different way. Now, if you hear the phrase, and I looked up on Google, I actually Googled to come up with the leadership idioms for the rest of the month of July. I started out on other things beginning of July, and I thought, okay, I like to have sort of a theme or an idea or a subject matter for the idioms, because I find that it's more fun to do that and do a few, like maybe even just 10 days in a row, or I think I did 100 days at the beginning of the year on business-related idioms. Some of them I've covered before, but a lot of them I had not. And so it was fun to, business idioms are easy to tie to business, right? But how do you tie idioms necessarily on leadership to business? Well, leadership is a very big part of business, in my opinion, so it wasn't much of a stretch. But some of these are a little bit more of a stretch than others. And what I found interesting is that I don't think hardly any of the idioms about leadership actually said anything about being a leader or use the word lead or leadership in them. I think that's really interesting. Now, that's because idioms, the words taken individually, mean something different than when they're used together. Like changing of the guard. I guess changing of the guard isn't a very good example of that, because that's pretty clear and understandable. What does changing the guard mean? It means you're changing out guards. They're changing shifts. Different people are filling in to guard something or protect something. Security, shift changes could be called changing of the guard. Military, when they do handoffs of leadership of bases and things, the only reason I know this is my niece and nephew are in the military, and she did a changing of the guard recently as she let go of leadership of 2 bases to another person. And that's considered the leadership change as a changing of the guard. But a lot of times we wouldn't think of changes in our organization, especially people changes in our organization, as a changing of the guard. But they really are, because a guard is somebody that protects and takes responsibility for an area or an area of responsibility for a certain amount of time. So I guess it really is got to do with leadership. And if one guard comes in and a different leader comes in, then the expectations and things, although they should be the same overall, the specific things, the specific expectations of, how you communicate, how you interact, what's expected of you, changes slightly from person to person to person to person. It's like if you're married and you get divorced and then you start dating another person. That other person's expectations and beliefs and values and everything are different than your original spouse's. At least we hope they are. Anyway, that is what I'm working on right now. Granddaughter's off for the rest of the week, so I am probably going to commit to myself to really, really work on my Get Up and Go challenge, and probably the challenge book that I have been writing for the better part of last year and this year, and pretty much my entire life I've been writing this book on challenges. So I want to knock that out so that I actually have it done, completed, and ready to publish. Actually, I'm just going to write it and have someone else edit it and publish it, because that's not my area of expertise. And we're changing the guard. We're taking responsibility for the things that we're good at. We're building on our strengths, and we're letting go of the things that we're not so good at. Oh, I didn't even share what our annual challenge was. Our annual challenge today was about how having a steady purpose creates tranquility in our mind and in our life. And I would have to agree with that. I think that the years that I have been rudderless, and I really didn't have a purpose except to be a good mom and a good wife and a good person, were a lot more chaotic and up and down in terms of the things that I did, the things that I felt, and the experiences I had than since, actually, I want to say my 40s, but really it was probably from my sudden cardiac arrest on that I've really honed in on understood my purpose more than everything before that. It was just that event caused me to stop everything I was doing and really reevaluate and say, okay, no, what is my real purpose? Now, I've spent half my life messing around and doing what other people thought I should do. Now what is my reason for being? Why am I really here? And that did create a sense of calm and tranquility in my mind, because I have that overriding vision of where I'm going all the time. And when I'm faced with a change or a challenge or a decision, it's easy. I ask myself, does that move me toward my purpose or away from my purpose? If it moves me away from my purpose, yes, sometimes I admit it, I'll do it. But I very quickly realize that I've gone the wrong way and I'm moving away from my purpose. And as soon as I realize that, I course correct and I go back to doing things that are always continually moving me toward my purpose. And once we have that, life becomes so much easier. Decisions become so much easier. We don't have that fear of missing out on all the other opportunities in the world because we know they're not for us. And we see and take advantage of the things that are for us because they are moving us in the direction that we want to go. So I think it was a good one today. Purpose, and I kind of wish we would have covered it like way in the beginning of the year, because I think it would have added a steadier, more calming, more direct flow to the activity. But that's what happens when you use someone else's resource or another tool, an outside tool, to track and guide. And honestly, my annual challenge, I started doing it only, this is really bad to admit, but only to warm up my voice in the morning for my other videos and my other content creation. Because I do my videos first thing in the morning, and my voice sounds like gravel Gertie usually until I've had a couple cups of coffee. And then it still sounds like gravelly, but it's not as gravelly as it is first thing in the morning. So that's it. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below or direct message me. I have direct messages turned on for this particular video. So you can message me directly and ask a question, comment, share, your experience with going from the offline world to the online world, what you like best about it, what you like least about it, what you're struggling with. If you've got a question and nobody else to ask, I don't guarantee I have the answer, but I guarantee I can help you get to the next step or know what to do right now so that you never have to feel stuck. One of my most dreaded feelings at the beginning of transitioning from the offline world to the online world was feeling stuck, because I didn't have a group of people. I didn't have resources, didn't have experience. I didn't have, my corporate team of experts in all fields and all areas that I could call on to help me with the online world. And so I had to create that. All right, that's it. Have an absolutely amazing day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow to let you know what she's up to now.